Let's go.
You can get it during. I can pour you up right now. Hey, shout out EJ's behind the scenes. You already know he's always out here. We're about to take a shot. Shout out Voli 305.
Let's go,
shout
EJ.
Out. We got Pat and Kat in the building today in the Miami Hustle.
Let's go.
Thank you for
your
having
time.
Me, man. Anytime,
Thanks
of course. You guys are true hustlers. From what I've, heard about you so far, I'm excited for this episode because there's going to be a lot of good knowledge for everyone listening.
Absolutely.
So, of course, first of all, thank you for your time. We're going to take a quick shot just to loosen up. This is Miami made right here. So shout out to Miami. Shout out to Mr. 305 Pitbull himself. Shout out Priscilla. Shout out Ashley. You already know the whole team, the whole squad.
Plus, it's Christmas. Why not? It's getting cold. You got to warm up anyways.
This will keep you nice and warm.
Yeah, and also, I know that vodka usually comes from Russia, but we're not in good terms with them right now. So we're going to get some vodka from Miami.
There we go.
We're always on good terms with Miami. So cheers. Shout out to Voli 305 again. If you don't know, you better find out. And if it's not at your local bar, tell them that they're slacking. They need to hit up Ashley and Priscilla and get Voli in every bar.
Salud, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. 2024. Let's go.
2024, health, success, all that.
More of it. Happy holidays.
Smoothest vodka I've ever had. Wow.
Oh, man.
All right, so again, welcome. So first of all, so everyone knows a little bit about you guys, Pat and Kat, tell us about, who you are, where you come from.
You want to go first?
No, go for it.
So my name is Patrick Voltapetti. You can just call me Pat. I'm from Miami, Florida. I love the name, the Miami Hustle. Definitely a hustler here in Miami. Basically, man, I'm a third-generation real estate investor. My family moved to Miami mid-'60s, bought some real estate here. And for the last, decade, man, I've been in the commercial real estate space. And I had the opportunity to learn under some great mentors here in Miami. And so at this point in my life, man, a big passion that I have is taking the knowledge and the things that I've learned in the commercial space, also things about financial literacy, communication, and bringing that to Black and brown communities that might not have the opportunity to, readily have that information available. So that's been something that's been really passionate for me. We'll get more into it, but that's just kind of my...
Nice.
It's you.
It's amazing.
My name is Kat Moreno. So I'm born and raised out here, believe it or not, from Westchester. Not the good side.
Shout out Westchester.
Everybody's like, oh, that's where the rich Cubans live. They weren't rich out there, bro. But
not all of them have horses.
Yeah, right. No, but being from out here and, seeing the dichotomy of, the haves and the have-nots, you're in suburbia and everybody's, got it. And then you drive over to the beach and you see all these cars and Roses and all this stuff. And seeing that at a really young age, it pushed me to know that there's information that people have that I don't. So I've been on a constant pursuit of, figuring it out, how to do it, how to hustle the right way, by the way, and just developing business. So currently, Pat and I are business partners. We have 3 businesses right now. We have the marketing and consulting company where we go into businesses, we optimize their marketing, their operations and sales for an increased growth immediately as soon as we come in. We have our vending machines, the vape vending machines, and then, we have the real estate. So
shout out to Good Vibes Only.
Good Vibes
Only vending.
Yes,
Good Vibes Only.
A lot of hustles going on.
I love to hear it.
I didn't know that was the spot for the plug. I would have plugged something.
Oh, my bad.
Damn. All right, coming in hot.
Shout out to both of you. Shout out to all the plugs out there.
All the plugs.
The good ones.
Only the good plugs.
Oh, man.
That's amazing. So you guys both have your own stories and now you're business partners. Tell me about how you guys met and, from meeting, how you guys decided to start into business together.
Damn, are we going there? All right, you got exclusive news here on the Miami Hustle.
All right, let's do it.
It's the first time we're discussing it in public. All right, let's do it.
This is exciting.
So, I mean, how we met, man, is... So I worked for Grant Cardone for 4 years. I was his top top guy in the real estate end for 4 straight years, led his team there. And one of the most incredible things that happened there is Grant has this ability to bring a certain type of person into that building. And I had the pleasure and the opportunity of meeting Kat there, right? She was crushing it on her end of the business. And that's, how we met, right? So we met in a very high-paced, very intensive kind of environment. And I think even when we left that place, a lot of that still stayed with us. And, that is our hustle. That's what we bring to Miami. So,
What's funny? I feel like that place automatically creates like a filter for human beings. So like, that person's disciplined, they're on point and they have their goals in mind.
Yeah,
And
there's
that's really
definitely,
important.
I agree.
So we ended up meeting each other out there, and we had spoken, and I realized we're on the same kind of level. And when I realized the the capacity, because Pat's a different kind of human being. Like, he's read 1,000 books, and I was like, man, this dude is really smart. So we were talking about it earlier, like the people in Miami are a different kind of person. You have to kind of look for people who are on point, doing things the right way, being good people, and like gravitating towards that kind of person. So, we started talking, and then eventually we brainstormed and we're like, you know what, let's start a business together. And first, the vending company, that was the first one.
Well, that was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this to all the viewers out there and any like budding entrepreneurs. I know you guys are crushing it here with the Miami Hustle. Like, shout out to Miami Hustle, man. These guys are great.
Shout out.
It is a hustle.
It is.
But
Yeah.
I want to say this for everybody that wants to be an entrepreneur. You got to think about this. Like, I know the thing that drives all of us is to be the 1%, right? Like, we're like, oh man, just so everybody knows, 1% of the population owns over 50% of the wealth on planet Earth, right? That means 99% of the people out here don't know what they're doing, right? So like, you want to be the 1%, don't just be the 1% with the money. Like, you got to understand, like, that's a way of life. You got to be the 1% in everything that you do. So I think when I made the decision, when Kat and I made that decision to go into business together, we already knew, we saw the gaps in business owners. We saw the gaps of what the marketplace needed.
That was the biggest thing.
And it was just like, okay, our competition's not doing this. Like, how can we be the 1%? Right? So like, I have people that just to give you this, like, I have people that I reach out to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Most people would be like, dude, I'm not
answering.
I'm not calling people at 11 o'clock at night. You're crazy.
Or they're at a bar already.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I'm telling you today that like a lot of my success, I can attribute to being that guy that people are like, dude, nobody does this. Nobody calls me at this time. Nobody sends me a video at this time. Like, nobody sends me a Christmas card with something in it. Like, so I'm constantly looking for creative ways that I can separate myself from my own competition.
I think that's what really drew us together as business partners, because, I'm sure like all you guys do too, people in Miami sometimes don't do things the right way. They're scammers. They're, like, they're doing things improperly or the wrong way, and you can get roped in if you don't have a sense of who you are, your own standards and morals and ethics. And I got tired of dealing with people that you couldn't count on, you couldn't rely on, or you couldn't believe them, or they would say something and they wouldn't do something. So I think what really brought us kind of working together is that we saw that, but also we started realizing, like, some of these people that we were encountering making 6, 10, 15, 20 million per year, they were just like us, and they had gaps in what they were doing. So when we made the decision, we're like, we can do this too. And we did. That's, kind of backstory.
Nice. That's exciting. That's awesome. I mean, to get together with someone that's like-minded and start a business from scratch or from an idea is always super exciting, but also super difficult. Yeah. And you guys have 3 of them, you mentioned.
Yes.
Cool.
3 businesses.
So tell me, let's talk about the first one. How was that? Like, you guys started brainstorming, you had an idea, and then tell me about the first couple months to a year of building that from an idea.
That was really tough. So, not only being business partners, but like we're like partners as well. Like having a business with somebody that you have a relationship is extremely difficult in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough to know when to like clock out of business, because business, when you own something, it's like nonstop throughout the whole day.
It is,
That's a
but
great point, actually.
it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
It truly is.
That's a great point.
I mean, I'm single. One of the main reasons I'm single is because, I go hard in my company, and at the end of the day, right now, I only have time and I only have so much time and energy to give, and I have to give it to my company. I Again, right now, I can't give too much of it to another person or
That's
to a
fair.
girl right now.
Yeah,
So
that's very fair.
that's cool that you guys bring that up. How are you able to manage that? And sorry,
Carefully.
but before you answer that, were you guys together and then started the business, or did you start the business and then become like partners?
It's a good question. We were together, I think, a few months, and then once we made that decision, we talked about it. We had a lot of conversations to understand what are your goals, what are you trying to accomplish. Like we want to be, multimillionaires by a
Yeah.
specific time period. So that requires work and dedication. I've never been that person to look at him and say, "Hey, you're working too much. Hey, get off your phone. Hey, I need attention." Like I know that if we want to be successful, you have to be out there. You have to have absolute trust with your partner. That's first and foremost, and then allow that person to fly. So I think that was one of the biggest things that
Yeah.
we both had a mutual respect for each other, to be able to say, you have your goals, I have my goals, let's run together straight ahead, like alongside of each other. But also, now that we're partnering together, what is that going to look like for us? Who's going to do it? Was very important. I remember, what lane is each person in? We had that really big conversation.
Yeah, you need to have clearly defined
Yeah.
roles. I think you gotta have like a foundation of like rules and like values and things that you guys are gonna push forward, with. And I think we just kind of outlined that on the front end, of like where we're going, where we're trying to go in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Like, what are the goals? How are we going to get there? And I think when you have alignment
Yeah.
at home by those close relationships, whether it's your significant other or very, very close friends, like you and EJ, for instance, like you guys got to be aligned, for you guys to get this far and continue the momentum,
Yeah,
right? You got to
100%.
be aligned.
Shout out to EJ again behind
Shout
the
out to
scenes.
Let's go,
EJ.
EJ. Let's go, EJ.
You already know. Always down to hustle, no matter what. I'm a little crazy with it. I don't stop. I'll tell him, yo, I have an episode tonight and tomorrow and the day after too. Are you down? Always says yes.
Always
And
down.
he's taking a drive from Plantation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shout out to EJ.
Just to be out here. So again, shout out EJ. You already know.
I really respect people like that, because we were talking about it earlier. Like, people don't really have a work ethic. People are like, "Oh, I come in at 9, I clock out at 5. Like, my boundaries. Don't call me. I'm not willing to do the extra work." But that's not my philosophy, and I don't think that was yours either. We were like, we haven't accomplished what we want to, so why are we stopping? Why are we seeking comfort when we're not there yet? Like, what do we have to celebrate right now?
I think, man, if I had to really pinpoint how I've been able to do, like what I've been able to do in the real estate space, like just to throw some numbers out to your audience, right? So I've raised over $250 million in the commercial space. I've led a team that raised over $1 billion. I've been a part of over $3 billion in transactions in the commercial space. And I currently own and operate over $50 million in real estate, right? And part of the reason why I've been able to do that, dude, is by giving to people. I think especially here in Miami, at least what I see,
Man.
right? As a good business owner, you should constantly be looking at ways that you can give to people. Give. Because reciprocity, it's going to come back, right? If you believe in the law of abundance, that it's coming, like it's going to come, make sure that your reputation is all about just giving, that
So
you're just
important.
constantly giving game to people. You're constantly giving them things that changes their life. What was it Maya Angelou said? She said, people not going to remember what you said, but they're going to remember how you made them feel, right?
Yeah.
And that's I think about that. Like, I really think about, like, how can I impact people? Like when they think about me, are they gonna think that's a good dude, man? He helped me out. He helped me out when he didn't have to. But I don't do that, and I know she doesn't do this
Yeah.
because we're like this aberration, right? Like we do this because somebody gave me the knowledge
Same.
and somebody gave her the knowledge. It didn't originate with me. I had people that went out of their way to help me out. So I always feel like it's only right for me to pass it forward.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
agree.
how I operate.
That's how karma works too.
100%.
Another universal law.
100%.
Yeah, and shout out to Grant Cardone for
Shout out.
putting a bunch of like-minded people in the same
GC.
room
Let's go, GC.
and building
Best time of
such
my
a
life.
profitable and just beautiful business. Because again, when you have people that are like-minded and building off each other, it's only going to benefit you.
Yeah.
So how was that experience, just working with Grant Cardone on real estate and then starting a company together? Was that, I'm assuming, a lot of what you learned in Grant Cardone's job, you put it into your company, right?
That's a good question. I think, I personally, I have a sales background. So I've accomplished $6.5 million for multiple companies in multiple countries around the world. So my background was like in art sales. So, I accomplished that, became an expert in sales. And then when I got back to Miami, I ended up working for Grant. So, I had the skills already there for sales, but like over there, my tools were sharpened. And, we learned a lot. Personally, I learned a lot from the sales space, but what I learned was, what do businesses require? What are customers looking for? How do you market to the right person? How do you speak the language of your target audience, And a lot of people who start business think, I have a great product, everybody's going to come to me. So that was probably one of the biggest things that I learned there personally. And also there, like, you have to be a good person. You have to have good ethics. It's 100% the biggest lesson that I learned, because this is a small city, and if you don't do the right thing or you fuck somebody over, like, it's going to emerge somewhere. So that's where I think the biggest lessons like cemented. And then that's how I think really I was okay with, more than okay with starting a business with you, because I knew you had those same principles. You're a great person, you're ethical,
Right, it's a
and
filter,
you
like you were
are
saying, yeah.
extremely like good at what you do in regards to sales,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you guys started the company together, were you still working with Grant, or
No,
you had
no, no.
moved on from there? Okay,
No,
cool.
we
We
had
moved on.
we had moved on. But just
Like
to
a year
answer your
later?
original question,
Yeah.
like when I was there, my biggest lesson was I figured out like you got a piece of God in you, and it's you have to. Your ideas are sacred. Like when you have an idea, I think everybody has a piece of God in them, and because you have that inside of you, you have the ability to create. And I think people come up with ideas, and because the world is constantly pressing on you from the time we'll get into the question, right? But like the world is constantly pressing on you their ideas of how you should be and what you can and can't do and what's possible. And I think people develop this space that they live in where it's like they come up with an idea and they immediately shortcut their own idea. They immediately add doubt and fear to an idea, and it immediately chokes the idea out. One of the biggest things I learned from Grant, man, is that he has an idea, he keeps it sacred. And anybody that doesn't fuel that idea is moved immediately. There's no time, right? Time is against us. There's no time for me to have people around me that aren't going to fuel my idea. I need people around me that fuel my idea, that believe in me. Because the only way the idea is going to have a chance to live is I need
You
people
believe it.
around me that are going to push me to take the idea from being in here to being out here. And that was one of the biggest things I learned from Grant is like he has an idea, he immediately moves on it. There's no space. That is his superpower, dude. There's no space in between where he allows doubt and fear to come into it. It's idea, action.
I think that's
action.
what helped us start our business too, because
Yeah, he motivates you.
initially as a person, you're like, I can't start a business and I don't have any money and I don't know what I'm doing. And this is only reserved for people who know or in business. And that's not true. Like we were talking about it earlier, there's information that's kept from certain people to limit them and keep them small. So in the beginning, I was always telling you, I have an absolute belief in you. You can do anything. And you said the same thing to me as well. So we were crazy enough to be like, hey, let's start a business. And the first business, oh no, the first business was the marketing and consulting. I did that for
That
a
was you.
minute.
Go
I
ahead.
did that for a minute, and you know, because my background, I went to school for marketing and it's always constantly changing. And then I found out is that people get into business and they're so busy selling their product, working in their business, not on their business in relation to their people, their marketing, their sales tactics and processes, and their operations. So I found a gap in the market to find that people didn't know how to market themselves. So I started communicating with my network of people that I had developed over 10 years of working in sales and marketing. And I started contacting them and providing value and then being like, hey, how can, if you would increase your revenue right now 10%, what would that look like? And then through there, in those conversations of value, it turned into business. So I went from 0 to 50,000 in like 3 months. And
That's awesome.
when I saw that, I was like, I can do this immediately. And then
So Volt note
6
right
months
here.
later, yeah.
Like, you should write this down. If you're watching this, write this down. She started her business with people that already knew and trusted her.
Yep.
That's called a power base.
Power base.
For everybody at home, that's called a power base. If you're starting a business, everybody that is in your phone is part of your power base. So like in my phone, I got over 1,000 contacts in my phone. Any business that I wanted to start, I would immediately go to my contacts and I would just go right down the list and just talk to people. Hey man, I just wanted to reach out to you. I know it's been a while. That's my fault. I just wanted to let you know what I got going on. Is this something that could benefit you or anybody that you know? Right? That's where you start a business. And I think you'd agree with that, Chris.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I want to say two things because I like what you said about God, how there's a little bit of God in all of us. I agree. And like you said, that's where creation comes from. I agree. To me, it makes sense. And then also, I feel like that's why we shouldn't be disrespectful, or we should try to be as nice as possible to others,
Yeah.
because if there's a little bit of God in all of us, if you're disrespectful to somebody, if you're talking shit about
Disrespecting
somebody,
yourself.
and God, you
And
know,
God,
in
right.
a way. So karma is real, you know, be the best version of yourself and try to uplift everyone. Don't shit on people.
go.
Number one rule of, I would say, business, like
I
you guys
love
have
that.
mentioned.
100%.
Love
And then
that.
I love what you said about how you started with an idea and your experience, and that experience took you from 0 to 50,000.
Yeah.
But what I will say for people listening too, that because I've had people come up to me and say, hey, look, I know you know about business. I want to start a business and I need you to help me out a little
Tell
bit.
me what to do.
The first thing I tell them is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so you know, why do you want to start a business? I want to be my own boss. I want to make my own money. Okay, just so you know, when you start a business, you're going to spend a lot more than you make.
Yeah.
So don't come into business thinking like, oh, she made 50,000 in 3 months. I could do this too. Like, no, she used her experience to get her there. But just know that if you're going to start a business, be ready to put in the hours, not getting paid for it, and then be in debt first.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So that's another big thing. And I feel like that's some people may not know. They think business is all nice and money, but in reality, it's a lot of debt before profits.
It's huge. I mean, our third business, because you had the real estate after, but our
You need a
third
mentor.
business,
People
you
need-
definitely
people
need a mentor.
Like, you
yeah,
can't-
Yeah, yeah,
It, like, for somebody out there that wants to start a business and they don't have the skills yet, like, again, none of this stuff originated with me. And I say that because I want to give people hope out there. Like, I didn't start off like this. Like,
Success leaves clues,
if
I'm
you would have
telling
went
you.
back to when I was 20 years old, like, it wasn't like this, man. Like, I had people that were willing to take me under their wing. Like, if you're somebody out there that wants to start a business, you know you want to be an entrepreneur, but you just don't have the skills yet to make it happen. Like, don't just rush out there blindly. Like, go find somebody, educate yourself, especially if you're in your 20s. I think your 20s is that time to like, you should be working for various different people in different industries. When you're 30 is when you should probably start to like think about, okay, I'm going to take all of this experience that I've gathered throughout my 20s and now I'm going to really like, you know, jump off the building, see if my wings will carry me, you know? Like that's how it should go. Like I won't
100%.
say don't do it too fast. Like just make sure you got the skills
Yeah.
where you can make it happen.
Data is the number one thing in business. If you don't have the right data, you will fail immediately. Like you need to understand your competitors. You need to understand what your market is looking for. What is your margin going to look like? How are you going to present yourself to the marketplace, you know? But again, this is not rocket science. Like success leaves clues. That's what one of my mentors
So
told
good.
me. And it's
So
like
good.
all of these things in business, it isn't new. Like it isn't new to sell people something that they need for a great price and you make a profit. It's not. So find the people that you admire and that you respect and also study their tactics and understand how do they market, you know, what are they doing differently, and then how can I bring that to the marketplace. So there's so much hope for people. Like if you want to be your own boss, be your own boss, but understand if your marketing, your operations, and your sales are not on point, your business will fail immediately. I mean, because our third business, we had maybe what 2 months of being in the red before we finally realized we needed to pivot and we needed to change a few things, different products, different areas, different people that we're working with to promote it in order to get ahead. So even if you do fail, everybody fails. Like use the failure as a springboard to learn what
You'll-
to do next.
You'll
you
learn
know?
more in the failures than you will the
100%.
victories. And
Yeah.
I think if people are scared to fail, you're just not going to be victorious. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like being able to pivot is such a big part of life. We were talking about math earlier and like how math is it's the philosophy. First off, it's the philosophy of how we understand the world around us through numbers, right? It's the language of the world around us. You being a creator of your own reality, right? You control your math formula. And just like everything else, like people have principles, right? They have principles and boundaries and virtues and things that they live by. Those are your constants. Like in math, I have my constant. I have my variables. I have variables. Like people will be variables in
Yeah.
your life. They'll come into your
Situations,
life that change the
failures. Yeah.
equation, and you got to figure out, are these variables a net positive to my output or is it a net negative to my output? And then you have to be aware of it first, that you're in control, so you got to take responsibility, but then you have to change around your math equation to get a different output. And we did that in business,
Yeah.
but people should do that also in life.
We do that
like
in
you
life
should
too,
constantly
yeah.
be like, because you want to level up. You said you want to be the best version of yourself, and it's a very admirable thing for all people to do from all walks of life. But you got to be willing to change the math formula. You can't just sit there and do the same thing every single year and be like, this is my year, 2024, gonna do it. This is the year I'm gonna do
Just
it.
wish and
And
luck,
you can't keep doing the same
not.
shit and expect a different
We're
result.
creatures of habits.
Yep.
We're controlled by our habits, whether we know it or not.
You gotta change your
Whether
habits.
you admit it or not. Like, you are what your habits are.
Exactly. I agree.
And
But
the
that's where
people-
discipline comes in.
And the people
Yeah.
who you surround yourself with, 1,000%. What do you do every day determines who you are, and the people that you're around is going to determine your future. We learned that. We use this equation, it's not even a joke, for everything, for our business, for the people that we surround ourselves with, for our money. Like, is this
Positive or
plus this
negative?
positive or negative? It
Yeah.
isn't. If it's negative, we've shortened the window at this point. Instead of a year of waiting, oh, let's test it out, let's see if this works. No, we have a week period. We say, look, is it positive or negative? No, eliminate it. Even if it's friends, even if it's, we've had to eliminate a lot of situations, kind of like family
Bro,
too.
sometimes
you
it could
know?
be the people closest to you, man,
yeah.
that are holding you back. And you just got to have the awareness of,
Yeah.
is this good for me or is it not good for me? And you got to be willing to make the hard decisions.
Yeah.
A lot of life comes down to your decisions and what you're doing. So like sometimes the decisions, some of the most impactful decisions are going to be the hardest decisions to make. So like don't run away from the hard decisions. Just do what you know you got to do.
Yeah, when you're uncomfortable is usually when you're growing.
Yep.
You
100%.
should be uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
should
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
That's
how you
big.
level up.
You should elaborate on that
I
because that's a
know.
big point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just been my life. Like, I've always thought that, like, if I'm comfortable at life at the moment, then I'm looking for what's next and how to put more pressure on myself. I mean, straight up, that's how I'm living right here, right now. Like, I'm living here because I was at a good place before I moved in here. I was at a good place, but I wanted more. So the only way that I could level up is to put myself in a tougher situation, you know, pay higher rent, and force myself to go get it every single month to continue to expand not only like my habits but also like my vision of things. Like I'm here right now, where am I going to be next year or in the next 5 years? So I couldn't keep
dope.
doing that if I just stayed, you know, in my, it's like a hermit crab. Like a hermit crab, the bigger they get, they got to find another shell.
Yep.
And they got to find another shell because they're getting uncomfortable in that
Yep.
tiny little shell. So you gotta keep leveling up.
For sure.
And
Some people fear that though. Some people fear the change and they, love the comfort. But again, what are you after? What's your why? Where are you going? What's your goal for the next quarter? What are you trying to do? Like if you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to stay in the same place around the same people, you're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
So coming to that like arrival point where you're like, hey, I want more, and I know, all your viewers are watching the Miami Hustle because they want more. They want to see a lot of information from different people who are growing and thriving. And you guys, if you're feeling that way, find somebody, do something different. Don't do the same thing over and over again. You have the capacity to do it. Like at this point, anybody can be successful. Anybody can do anything that they want to. You can have a business, you can make the money. It's just the choice is yours at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if you don't know of anyone around you in your circle that, like she said, has a business and is making money, then go and shake some hands and meet some other people. And like you said,
100%.
find a mentor. Like your mentor is not going to be your neighbor or your best friend. Sometimes you got to go somewhere to meet someone, like a seminar. Go to a business seminar. Maybe you meet someone there that's more
100%.
successful than you. You ask him for some advice, and then maybe he connects you with someone that changes your life.
But it starts here. It starts with a vision, man. I've had mentors, and this is one of the questions that I ask every single, like anybody that's more successful than me or is closer to like my vision of where I want to go in life. I ask them the same thing. What's your creative process? I just need to know what the creative process is, just so I know that I'm on the right path. And it's been very consistent, man. Everybody is the same thing. Like, I need to know what it looks like unbroken. Does that make sense? Like, we live in a world that people are constantly focusing on the problems and the issues, and they're not focusing on the solutions, right? I need to know what it looks like first. Unbroken, with no problems. Like, if I could snap my fingers and whatever I wanted this reality to be, it could be. What does that look like? Most people don't have that answer.
Yeah.
That's the first step. The first step is, if I could snap my fingers and have anything I wanted, what does it look like? And once I know what it looks like, guard that. Don't let anybody take that from you. Don't let anybody tell you you can't have it. Guard that, because that's your battery pack. That's going to be your motivation. In the darkest times, that's going to be the thing that you can hold on to. That's what people need, man.
Yeah.
And not enough people have actually thought out that vision. Because what you focus on is what you're going to get. And faith is such a powerful thing. You know, what's the parable, right? With faith the size of a mustard seed, I can move mountains, right? The reason why faith is so impactful is because it attaches to the subconscious. The subconscious is the connection to the ether. That's where all your creative ability comes from. So if I have faith in my vision and I'm constantly focusing on my vision, I will receive ideas that will allow the vision to take place. But if I never take the time to have the vision, man, you're like a bag in the wind.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
gonna be floating around.
100%. That's where intuition comes from.
Yeah.
And then I also feel like, to go off of what you said, not only think about where you are gonna be, but also how are you gonna feel? Because I think feeling in life is the most powerful thing.
good.
Like, does it give you goosebumps? Because if you put yourself where you want to be in life, like your ultimate goal,
Can you feel it?
and you close your eyes and you
Yeah.
think about what it would be like to be in that present moment, and you don't have goosebumps, then you
not
might be
it.
following the wrong path.
Right.
That's such a big thing, man. Because I used to tell my team all the time that I'm on a beach. And people used to like, because I swear to God, because
So
I would go up on a stage and I wouldn't be prepared to speak on the stage. And my team would always look at me and go, like, how do you do that? Like, you don't get nervous or anything like that. And I always told them, every obstacle in my life, I approach it I'm on the beach. I'm on a beach. Like I hear waves. I feel the sand underneath my feet. Like I have that ability to do that, but I have that ability because I've trained my mind to be able to go there. And all the work, like any spot where you would be nervous, I can go there. And that's something that I'd like to give your viewers because that's helped me out a lot.
You've helped me a lot with that as well. Because being from Miami, somebody always has something to say, right? Somebody's always like, you walk in somewhere and somebody's like got an attitude, and like your first reaction sometimes, because I think here in Miami, people are always fighting for attention, for money, for space. And you always have to like guard what you have, you know? And we were talking about it earlier, like the animal mind and like, you know, that first reaction is always not going to be the best because we're programmed to, again, to fight for something. But you've helped me a lot in that mental space to be able to like take a step back and be like, all right, what's the bigger thing here? What are we trying to accomplish? You know, calm down. Like, where are we going in this conversation? What's the purpose? And like for people that are watching this, like it takes time, but if you don't put time into your money, your body, your family, your partner, your business, like it doesn't grow. Like you're not going to one day be a super peaceful person if you don't take the time to meditate or, you know, hash out your ideas or think about your vision of what it looks like and get those goosebumps and be excited for your future.
Chris, you were saying that actually earlier, and it was a big point. And I'll let you elaborate on it. I think you definitely should hit on this of like how people have like their 9 to 5, but the Miami hustle is something else.
All right, yeah. So shout out to the hustle. You already know. Shout out to the
Shout
Miami
out to
hustle,
Miami
and shout out
hustle.
to the beach too, because my ultimate goal is to retire my parents and put them in a beach house.
That's so nice.
I love the beach. We all love the beach. Shout out, you know, South Beach and all the beaches out there. It's a very peaceful place, and I think nature is important. So if you're ever feeling lost, just go to the beach, look at the stars, and hear the waves, and just find yourself. So again, shout out to the beach. What I would say about the hustle is, and this is perfect because it goes to the question that I wanted to ask you guys. When you're hustling, I see it as you're going to work to pay the bills, and then after you clock out of your work, that's where the hustle starts. The hustle isn't your job. That's just a place where you're able to provide for yourself, your family, and to, you know, put a roof over your head, food on the table. The hustle starts after you clock out. And I think that that's why I wanted to start the Miami Hustle, because there's a lot of people out there that once they clock out from their job and they dedicate another 4 hours to themselves, whether it's finding themselves or just learning more about their business and their market, all of that time is something that gets looked over from your friends and family because you're by yourself and you're learning on your own and you're trying to make connections on your own. And I think that's truly what the hustle is. And the question that I wanted to ask you guys is, right now with your companies and all the success that you've had, are you at the level where you have a job that you need to attend to and then you hustle on your companies after your job, or have you got to the point where you have left your full-time, you know, income job to just build your company and continue to expand?
I did it first. I went full all in because I had the perspective that again, coming from Miami, I wanted to have my thing that I didn't want anybody to be able to take away from me. I didn't want somebody to say, oh, you did this for me and now you owe me and this, and this. So that perspective was like, I'm going to do it. So I went all in. I put my back up against the wall and I said, if I don't figure this out, I'm not paying my rent, I'm not paying my car, I'm not paying my insurance.
Oh, so you did that before you were actually ready to do that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, shout out to you. That's not easy.
But check this out.
It's a big jump. That's like what you said. She made that leap.
Yeah.
Well, I had the belief in myself. That was the biggest thing.
But I think a big part of that, like that's why I think us coming together worked out.
Yeah.
Because I very much so, like, as the man in the relationship, I said, man, like I'll be the stability. So I didn't go out on my own at first, right? Like I wanted her to kind of let her wings fly and go out and like see what you could do and know that like somebody has your back, right? Because I knew, I was like, as soon as she catches some a nice some wind,
that's karma, it'll come back.
Then I'm gonna be like, okay, now she has some stability where I can feel comfortable, where I can really go out there and mix it up.
But the beautiful part was like I didn't need the help. at the end of the day. Like he was there to support me if I needed it, but like the first month I made my first 10,000. So like
It's good to know you got some backup.
100%. So for
Shit.
those
No, shout out to you for doing that.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
I mean, I needed to
That's-
know because I had it in my mind. I was like, I can't die and live my life not knowing if I had the chance to be everything that I could and do it on my own. I need to know. If I fail miserably, that's okay, but I need to know that I can do it. And there were hard times, man. Like there are times, what are we gonna do? I haven't closed the deal. Like, and then split second, my back's up against the wall. Great, here's another $8,000 deal. But I work under pressure like that. Some people may, some people may not. But you know, you got to figure it out. Do you have enough confidence in yourself? Did you save up a little bit of money that you have a cushion and believe in yourself? Get the information and do it. You know.
And that leap was with the marketing company?
Yeah.
What were you? Did you give up the Grant Cardone job, or you were working somewhere else at the
So
time?
I left Grants probably 2021, and then it's funny because we had a conversation a month before I ended up leaving. He was like, "Make your LLC, make your business." I was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do. What are you talking about?" And he was like,
Just
"No,
do
I
it."
believe in you. Just do it." And then 2 weeks later, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, nobody's paying me. I don't have anything to do right now. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. If I had all day, I started thinking about it. If I have all day to do exactly what I want to do and be successful, what would I do? And then I did it.
Nice.
And I just kept repeating it and I kept learning. I kept
Question.
meeting people. Yeah.
Was it scary?
Yes.
Be honest.
Yes.
All right.
But you know what scared me the most? It was having to go back to work for somebody and have somebody be able to take your money like this.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, nepotism or red tape or whatever the case may be. I wanted to be able to do it. Yes, it was scary. Absolutely.
How was it for you to create your own schedule and be disciplined about that?
It took me about a week because I'm a very disciplined person. I used to.
That's like her gift.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
If you will, like
When you-
her
Yeah.
gift is organized.
Yeah.
I'm like
That's-
chaos. Like I just do things.
Okay, that's good.
She
You guys balance
organizes
each
me.
other.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely.
That's
Wow.
exactly what it is.
Completely.
Yeah, that's good because that's the
Yeah.
scariest part when you jump ship and now no one's paying you is being disciplined, getting the schedule right, and figuring out how the money's going to come in.
I mean, the biggest thing for me was, you know, I kept having a vision of what my optimal self looked like. And what would she do? What type of habits is she doing? Who would she be meeting?
It's
What
kind of
type
like
of
what you said,
exactly?
putting yourself in
That's a
that
good point.
situation.
I put
already.
myself in the situation because I was always, we got into the habit of, for a year and a half, of course, from Grants, is we write our goals down every day. We write down our targets. What am I going to accomplish today to
Bold
get me
note.
closer to my
Write
goals?
that down.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Write that
I
down. So
agree.
goals, what are your
Write
goals?
your goals every single day.
Targets, and then successes for the day. So every day when you're seeing that, I'm looking at my goals, like I want to be a multi-millionaire by the age of 35. And then I would look at my goals and I'm like, how am I going to achieve this? What can I do today to get me there? What would she do? And then becoming that person, like obviously go to the gym, get your head right, read, meet people, network, and work on the business, you know? So it became that because the other side was, okay, cool, watch Netflix, smoke, chill all day, talk on the phone to my friends. Is that getting me closer to my goals? And then once you start seeing, hey, you know, cars due, insurance is due, like you don't have time to mess around and not be the person that takes care of themselves and achieves those goals. So was it tough? Yeah, but I felt like it was inevitable. Like I have to do this because there's nobody coming to
There's
save
no going
us.
back.
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna come knock on your door like, hey, it's time. You gotta go make money. Like nobody's coming. Nobody's gonna come save you. Nobody's gonna bring you the knowledge that you need, and nobody's gonna come give you the life that you want. So you gotta go get it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree. And if you don't mind me asking, how old were you at the time?
Uh,
Because that's a
oof.
huge decision.
I was,
It is a
man,
big
at
decision.
30, I think 31, 32, 31,
Perfect.
32.
That's exactly like you got how you were saying. Like
Mhm.
you figure it out in your 20s, jump around, find knowledge, find people, and then in your 30s, take that leap. And
Exactly.
with everything that you learned, that's why the 20s are so important though as well. Like that's
Yeah.
also why anyone that's in high school right now or going into college, these episodes are very valuable
Yeah.
because these people that are sitting here
awesome.
have been through what you haven't been through yet. So we're here telling you what's gonna happen and
That's
what could
awesome.
happen for you.
Man, I have advice for 20-year-olds right now. Thank you for opening this door. People, I think, believe
Especially in Miami.
especially in
20-year-olds in
Miami,
Miami.
especially Miami,
It's a crazy
bro.
life out there.
Like, you know, get with somebody, have a kid, hurry up, and then everything's gonna create itself. But what ends up happening is a lot of people get stuck in that cycle, right? You have a car, you got to make payments. Okay, so you decided to get, you know, the Ultima with the package, right? But you got to pay for the Ultima and the package. Now you got to go work a job consistently to pay for your car, not to build your dreams, not to
Yeah,
build.
you're a slave to the money.
You're a slave to the money. So in your 20s, use that as an opportunity to learn yourself, learn about people, learn about business, learn about a skill, and like wait for the relationship. Make those mistakes in a relationship, but like, you know, I think the biggest thing that people can do is work on themselves. 20s, fuck around, find out, understand all the mistakes you can make, fall on your face, embarrass yourself, you know, do all the things that you can do, so then your 30s becomes, I know who I am, I know what I want to do.
There's
know?
2 things in your 20s that you should be investing in. You should, number one, be investing in yourself. And I think everybody out there should be investing in communication.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you want to do, you're going to need to communicate. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to need literally your sword, right, to the marketplace. The offense is going to be communication and your sales ability, your ability to communicate the value that you're bringing to the table. So, like, number one, invest in your own ability to communicate. Number two, invest in your network. Invest in getting into the rooms to shake the hands and meet people. Even if you don't have something to offer right now, find a mentor, like we were saying.
Yep.
Like, those are the 2 things that, like, if you have $500, if you got $1,000, I know what it was to be in college and eat ramen noodles and like, and I'm making hot dogs in the microwave and stuff. Like, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's the hustle. Shout out to Miami Hustle.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
You do.
But like, you need that, and I wanted to make sure I got this in. Did you want me to do this? Can I do this?
Of course.
What? What are you doing?
So, come on, you're supposed to
Yeah,
play
yeah,
along
no,
with
for
this.
sure,
we're
for sure,
here.
100%. Sorry.
All right, but all seriousness, from a communication standpoint, everything that I've learned in the communication space, especially in sales, comes down to 5 gates. And I'm gonna give the 5 gates just because of you, Chris, and EJ. Shout out to EJ.
Yes, sir.
Like, just because of you guys, I want to give the audience the 5 gates of sales. So understand that these 5 gates that you're gonna walk through for the entrepreneur, as you get through each gate, your chances of closing a deal drastically increases, right? So the hardest part of the sale is going to be the intro, right? Because right here I'm just selling time. I just need 30 seconds. Like, I just need somebody to just give me a little bit of time, right? But I want to give you guys a framework, not a script or anything like that, but just a framework so you know what you're doing. First gate, you just want the prospect to clarify that they want more. That they want more than whatever they're doing right now. But you need them to say it.
Like, find what they're lacking?
Yeah.
Right. Because questions pull people, statements push them. So, like, you got to understand, in the first part of the sale, I need them to clarify that they want more. So an example of that would be like, Chris, for the Miami Hustle podcast, what you guys did in 2023, let me ask you, what are some of the goals that you have for 2024?
Well, we're going to have our own segment, me and EJ, once a week, and then we're going to continue having guests on once a week as well, build up our audience, and just try to do more current events, I would say, going into 2024.
And why would you be looking to do that?
Well, 2024 is going to be a crazy year for many reasons. The election's coming up. So I feel that people in Miami, they need to have a source where they can go to and find relevant news in the city and in the world. Based off of our own group, our age group, not just, the Fox News and CNN and stuff like that. I think it's important to have our own opinions as well. So that would be the main goal for 2024, is not only continue to have guests on, but start our own segment too.
Okay, so now you've clarified that you want more.
First step, yeah.
First step. The second step is, so now we went through the first gate. The second gate is, I need to label your pain. So I'm going to ask you a question.
I already know the answer.
I'm
Oh,
taking
this
you
is
through
good.
this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, I'm just taking you through this,
Yeah,
but I'm using you as an example. I hope you don't mind.
No, of course not.
Cool. So I would then say, Chris, what would you say are one or two things that, if you improved on, would ultimately help you get to some of those goals that you're looking to achieve in 2024?
I would say time is always against us. So to go off that, the more stuff we put out, the more we will grow. And time right now, it's tough for me because, I have my own job and my own company to focus on. And then this is a passion project. So I push out as much content as I can, but time is against me in a way. So I need to find a way to either balance out my time more, to push out more content, or to get someone else on my team to start really pushing content.
He's so on point with what he wants and needs. It's really good.
Right. So,
Yeah.
like, you gave me enough information where I can make an accurate label, where I can label the pain, right? Sounds like if you had more time, it would allow the Miami hustle to grow faster,
100%.
right? And get to where you want it to go faster. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you said, yeah, right? So now the objective when I'm labeling the pain is I need the
Agreement.
prospect, I need us to mutually agree that there is a pain point.
Yeah, I see what you're doing because at this point, I'm itching for an answer.
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
what do you got?
And I'm still not giving it to you
Yeah.
But
yet.
plus, you've also developed the rapport
And I've developed
listening
rapport.
to what you're saying and caring about what you're saying as
Right.
well.
That's important because in business, a lot of times it's like, what do you want from me?
Right.
But here you're listening and you're asking me like, how can I help in a way?
And you're going to separate yourself by doing this. Too many times people immediately
So,
they just throw up on you
So-
with some type of product or something. I don't have enough information to do that yet, right? So it's going to come off bad if I do that. So all the listeners out there, I hope you're writing this down. But after we've labeled the pain, the third gate is I got to jump into the past with you.
time travel.
So I got to time travel, but I got to go back now. So I got to be like, what have you done previously to overcome this?
Good question.
I would say sacrifice a lot of my time and energy. It's pretty much it. It's all you can do for now.
Gotcha. And what do you think is the number one thing why this problem still persists?
Because I would say at the moment, it's not bringing me income. So because of that, I still need to put in my hours and my sacrifice to then eventually get there.
Boom.
You got it. That's the pain point.
So now
Yeah.
you labeled the pain, you went back into the past, you actually enhanced the pain in the prospect's mind. And then the fourth gate is, as a salesperson, I teach my guys that, like, or my students rather, shout out to Volt Notes, but I teach my students, I say, right here, there's some salespeople that when it comes to pitching or demoing anything, they naturally start speeding up. Like their heart rate will start jumping. And so I tell them, if you have to ask for permission, ask for permission. Like, hey, Chris, do you mind if I share with you what I've done with people in the exact same situation? Would you mind?
But that's a softener. That's a good softener.
It's a good softener because
Yeah.
at this point, I've gone through the three gates. Chris is going to give me an opportunity because, like you were saying, you want to hear it at this point,
Yeah, I'm
right?
like itching to hear.
I'm itching to
hear
hear
some
it,
answers.
right?
What I also like that I noticed is not once did you say I. You've been asking, about me. And one thing in business that's big is that you wanna make them feel comfortable, and I think it's a little uncomfortable if you sit in front of a table with someone and you constantly tell them about how I can do this for you and
It's the
I can help and
worst.
my product this and I will do this. To that, it just sounds like a bunch of empty promises.
That's one of the biggest reasons that a lot of salespeople fail, because that's where you get a lot of your business, is because we have companies that we work with and they're like, well, my sales guys aren't making money and like we don't know why. And it's because, well, your sales process is broken because your guys are shoving information down the person's throat instead of understanding their needs. How can you help that person? Again,
Active listening.
they always say you will get to the place that you want to get if you help enough people achieve what they want to achieve, and
Yeah.
sales is that.
I felt with that conversation, using me as an example, I felt that instead of pushing sales, you were pulling me.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You're pulling me
It's a
in.
pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them the rest.
Well, okay, so
Oh, there's more.
the fourth
There's one- well,
so the
wait.
fourth gate is you want to sell the experience. Too many times people get wrapped up in
The thing.
like if I'm
Yeah.
selling the iPhone, right? Be like the camera, it's whatever pixels and all this stuff. Like I don't know about you, I don't know what that means. Maybe EJ knows what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. So
Right,
if you
right,
come
right.
up to me and you tell me about pixels and gigahertz and all this type of stuff, it doesn't really matter.
It's like not relatable.
It's not doing anything for me. But if you sell me the experience, hey, holiday time, you're gonna be with your family. When you go to take the picture, don't you want the picture to be crisp? Don't you want it to be something that we can remember, for years to come? Not grainy. You want it to be nice, right? You're selling the experience of how I'm gonna actually use it.
Yeah, their subconscious mind is already saying yes.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
So it's like the selling the experience. A lot of people have to take their pitch and narrow it down to make it simple. Because if somebody's confused, they're not going to buy
They're gone.
anything. Make it simple and narrow it down to single words. So I'll give you an example. When Kat and I go inside of a business and we want to help them, help their processes, make them more efficient, right? So that they can make more money. There's 3 words that I tell the prospect. I say, how we're going to do this, it's a 3-step process. Number 1, awareness. Number 2, implementation. And number 3, accountability. Number 1, awareness. You can't change something that you're not aware is there. So the first part of this whole thing is we have to sit down with your leadership team. We got to understand the internal processes. But then we're
biggest
also
thing.
going to go out to your competitors and learn what
Yeah.
their processes are, right? Competitors that are doing better than you so that we can see
The difference.
the
delta.
difference
Yeah.
and what needs to be implemented, right? So I'm giving you what's called an anecdotal story, right? So that we can connect. That's why Hollywood is so powerful. That's why movies are powerful, right? Because they hide messages within a movie that has protagonists and antagonists and, adventure and action, right? But it connects us. And you end up getting the story without feeling like it was just kind of
Forced.
shoved down your throat,
Yeah.
right?
But this is also applicable, for everything. Your communication with your
Everything.
partner, with your business partners, with your kids, with your friends. Like, you're always selling. You're selling yourself. You're selling an idea, right? Where do you want to go eat? What do you want to do today, right? It's a sale because you can't force it down someone's throat. You have to go through a sequence, and it kind of connects you to that person so they do want to do business with you, especially the right way,
Right. So number 2, I would say we implement, right? We'll find out what needs to be implemented into the business, what your competitors are doing that are doing better than you currently. We'll help you implement that. We'll get with your team to implement. But the 3rd step, and the most important in my opinion, is accountability. And I like to use the example of, for instance, when you're a kid, right? You're a kid, whether it's brushing your teeth, taking a shower before you go to bed, maybe you didn't want to do that, at some point in your life. Maybe you were just like, man, I got to do this again. Come on, man. And then, but your parents, because they consistently held you accountable, external accountability will become internal habits. If you have somebody that's consistently there, making sure that you're implementing it, making sure that you and your team are being held to that type of standard, right? It becomes a habit. It's the same thing we're going to do inside of the business. Make sense? Right? And then now I haven't got granular. I haven't talked about a lot of different things. I've just kind of given you an overview of like, hey, this is what we're going to do. These are the 3 steps that we're going to go through. I've made it simple for you. And at this point, we've built enough rapport where you're like, all right. And I'll give you a price tag on it right there so that you
Yeah.
can start to think about it. Because it's one of the big mistakes salespeople make is that they hold price to the very end.
It's the worst mistake.
And if you hold price to the end, the prospect is thinking about price the entire time. But if I give you price early, like when I started my pitch, if I'd have said, for $10,000, we'll go inside of the business and we'll help you reshape it for a month, right? Now you got the price. and now you're thinking about the
Justifying.
value. You're
Yeah.
thinking about the justification
Like, is it
of the
worth
10
it?
grand, right?
What's it going to do for me? How's it going to improve my
Right.
business? But you're upfront with it. Like, the worst thing in business is when people hide things and hide information.
Yeah.
And like, why are you hiding? Why aren't you asking the right questions? Why aren't you answering the right questions? Why are those tough conversations so difficult to have? That's what you're always teaching, is like communication is key, especially in sales and like growth
Yeah.
of a business, growth of anything.
And then the fifth final gate, once you've sold the experience, is you want to time travel. So I want to time travel to after this is solved. So after we've done this, after we've accomplished this, I just need to know. Because Chris, you seem like a guy that's gonna continue to, push the envelope. It
Yeah,
didn't.
I tend to live in the future.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it's gonna end there. So it's like after we accomplish this, and you, EJ, you have your own stuff. You're getting more, getting more eyes on the podcast, generating more income for the podcast. Like, what's the next thing that's gonna be motivating you?
So at that point, it would be like clockwork. And the benefit of it being like clockwork is, aside from, having a team. So, for example, after this podcast is done, instead of me sitting down for another 3 hours working on the editing aspect with EJ, a team is taking care of that. So I could focus on the next guest. I could focus on how they're going to add value on that next episode. My team is already pushing out content. And then I'm also focused on where me and EJ going to be at next, because we could be at, let's say, Valuetainment, shout out PBD podcast, Patrick David, things like that. I want to go out there and give value to others, as well as bringing value here to my listeners. So the next step would be, with a team that's handling content and putting it out there to new followers and a new market. I want to be the podcast where anyone that is anyone in Miami is going to be on this podcast, more than once a year, maybe, because we're going to be following up with them, on top of the fact that if there's any artists coming into the city, or any DJs, or any, let's say a best-selling author is going to have a book signing here in Miami. Okay,
Right.
well, our team, me or someone that works for me is going to be contacting those individuals that are traveling to Miami, letting them know that we have a podcast with this many viewers, and you should also be on this podcast while you're in the city. So throughout the whole year, we're going to have people that are from Miami and in Miami doing their thing, but then also our own segment for, current events, and then the special guests that are in Miami, but they're not from here, but they're doing business here, and we want to talk to you. Oh yeah, I'm ready.
That's good.
And it sounds like you've got a lot more to do, Chris. So what do you say with us just getting started now?
For 10,000, all right, yeah, I got that.
So but you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you
Like a process. Yeah.
you've moved forward to when this is already solved. And you already see that there's so much more that needs to be done. And like you said, time is working against you. We already spoke about time. So I would start leaning in on you about time. There's a lot that needs to get done here. So let's take time out of the equation. Let's get started. We need to get started. So those would be the 5 gates for everybody at home. Those are
I
the 5
appreciate
gates.
that. We all appreciate that, I'm
No
sure.
worries.
Thank you for sharing that. And what I would say to that is, I felt with those 5 steps, I felt like you were more, instead of a salesperson, you were more of a, like, my business therapist. Like, you were asking all the right questions to really understand who I am and what I'm going through, to then give me some help, as opposed to a business salesman that's gonna sit there and try to sell without you even knowing what they really need.
Exactly.
So, like, you could imagine you didn't ask those questions. Imagine you trying to sell me on, hey man, I can get you a bunch of guests on the show. Like, I got you with that. Like, my first thing would have been like, that's not a problem. I have so many people lined up. It's not
Right.
even funny. I need everything else. So you would have failed right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you'd be surprised how many times we get our business that way, is that people think they hit a plateau and they're like, oh, I have these guys and they're not producing, or they're not producing enough. And we ask the right questions. What are you asking to your prospect? Are you getting to know them? Do you understand their problems? And they don't even go there. And the owner is thinking, oh, I've hired and put all this money into my employees and my business, and it's not growing. So your people then become a problem. That's where we come in, and we're able to help those situations, because of course it involves much more product knowledge and training and role play and practice, but that gives you like a foundation and a process. A lot of people don't have that at all.
Yeah,
At all.
and if people want more, voltnotes.com. We have you know, scripting, key objections, how to handle objections, how to close, different closes, all of that's there. We also have the commercial real estate side of things as well. So we teach you how to underwrite, how to raise capital, how to manage properties. Underwriting, by the way, I know that's kind of jargon right there, but underwriting is just how to evaluate a property so that you know, generally speaking, what's a good purchase price for the asset.
Yeah.
So nobody takes you for a ride.
Got you.
And like I said, I created it, for black and brown communities that haven't had this knowledge, right? I created it and made it accessible to the everyday person, and
Nice.
that's one side of it. And then the other side is my private equity firm where, we're taking down some really big deals. Um, I acquired 505 units this year. And, for me, I want to get 1,000 students for 2024. And I'm looking for 5,000 units in 2024.
Well, we have this
That's really
documented.
Those are
so
the
we're gonna-
goals, man.
We're gonna
My
follow
We'll
you.
come
biggest-
back. This won't be
Yeah.
the last time I'm
My
on here.
biggest thing for 2024 is I want to develop, like with the new business, is create a hub for other women. Because I feel like right now there's not enough resources for women to start their own businesses, to connect and communicate with other women. So that is a huge, huge thing I'm cooking for 2024 to help. You have who you're trying to help, but I also feel like my people are suffering right now. The women, are taking second place, they're taking the passenger seat, and they don't have to. So creating that hub and that space for women to come to, get the education, connect, that's a big, really, really, really big goal of mine for 2024.
That's awesome.
Huge.
Shout out to all the women bosses out there.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for any women out there that want to start their business? They're like flirting with the idea, but are maybe a little like not as confident because they're a woman in a male-dominated space?
That was the biggest thing for me to overcome, because sales is traditionally a very male dominated space. However, I feel like the way that I communicate is a little bit more direct and a little bit more on the masculine side. So for women, I highly recommend you understand how men communicate and understand, my bad, and everything that you can say in like a minute, you can condense into 20 seconds. Facts, figures, what is this going to do? What am I going to accomplish? How can this help me? So figure out how to condense your communication. Be very straight to the point. In addition, I recommend any women out there learning sales as a skill. Like
100%.
if you learn sales, you can control your income forever. Like everybody needs sales for the rest of humanity. So learn that skill set, learn how to communicate in a very efficient way, and you're golden. That confidence would increase as your skills increase, your confidence will increase as well.
Naturally.
I like that. I agree with that. How you said just straight to the point. The less words, the better. The more facts, the better.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to you guys. I'm glad that you guys, made some time to come on the Miami Hustle, not only for myself and EJ that are listening to this, but everyone that's gonna, listen to this. It's gonna be a very valuable episode.
That's
And
awesome, man.
we
That's
look
awesome.
forward to continuing to follow you guys on all your success. And then the last question I would love to ask you guys is, what does Miami mean to you?
Oof, man, that's such a great question.
It's
Oof.
Miami Hustle. I gotta
Miami,
ask.
Miami to me means growth. It's a lot of different people coming into a space with a lot of opportunity. The city has everything. It really, I think it epitomizes the world, really, for me. Like it has the good, it has the bad, it has the paradise, and then it also has the grimy stuff. It has the mud. And I think if you're from here, you've seen a lot of different types of people, a lot of different walks of life, and that I think that rounds a person. I think that's what Miami means to me. That's what I've gotten from it. So thank you, Miami.
For me, Miami it's a constant grind. But I love Miami for teaching me the grind, because I've lived in cities all over the world. But what Miami does is it is yours. Like what you want, you can achieve. Meet the right people, do the right thing, get the right skill set, you can achieve it. And I feel like here exemplifies that this is a playground for the rich and famous, but it's also a playground for you if you want to accomplish all of the things that you want to. So you're fighting every day against, for time, for space, for attention, but you're also fighting the humidity as soon as you walk out of the door. So it's a constant battle. So if you have the guts, if you have the tenacity, if you have the hustle inside of you, you will win this city. That's what Miami means to me.
That's beautiful, and this is a beautiful city to win. So I think this is the best city in America. So
Same.
shout out to Miami.
Shout out Miami.
Shout out to the hustle. You already know. And for everybody out there that's a hustler or that wants to be a hustler, that's trying to come out here and get money, I would say don't just get money. You gotta, once you get it, make sure you know how to make money work for you, because if you don't make money work for you, then you're just a slave to it and the money will get you.
Preach.
So yeah,
For real.
get money, make it work for you, and that's how you become a real hustler. Don't just be out here saying, yeah, I'm out here getting money, because that's not gonna go anywhere if you don't know where to put it.
No.
And if you don't know what to do with money and you don't know where to put it and you want to know, follow these guys right here, Kat and
Love
Pat.
it. Love it.
They're going to keep doing their thing. We're going to keep following them. Make sure you guys follow them too. And until next time, the hustle
Appreciate that,
continues.
Chris.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Boom.